Huh?
I knew what this was like. Eddie and Alex would be having a fight. Okay, it's a brother fight.
Right.
So if you got any brothers, you know what a brother fight is. The next day you forget about it.
I do. I know.
You're fighting over who got the bigger peanut butter sandwich, or you know what I mean, that kind of thing,
right.
Who tied whose sneakers in a knot or whatever.
Right.
Or if you're wearing my shirt, you wear your other brother's clothes to be cool. So it's a brotherly fight. So they'd be having a fight. We'd go on stage and play. They'd play amazing. We would go off stage. The fight would start again. This was like a punching headlock fight.
Wow.
And then the road manager, Bobby, would talk to them saying, encore. They would stop fighting, go on stage and put encore, and then go off stage and fight again. I thought that was really a cool brotherly moment.
That's hysterical. That's hysterical. Obviously, that was a big risk for Van Halen, that tour, that album in general, which turned out to be a great success. Were you surprised by how they were able to smooth over Dave leaving the band so easily?
I think they did a really great job. I think Sammy has a great voice. For fun, we called the tour "Why Can't This Be Lunch?" and "Taking Care of Breakfast."
That's great.
Which is like real fun, and they did an amazing job of pleasing the fans and getting over the. Well, I guess you could call it a trauma. It's like, when a guy leaves a band, it's like there's a death. His personality is gone. They did some of their old songs. They did Jump and things like that. And after a while, literally nobody knew the difference. The transition of BTO coming out and doing like 30 minutes of hit songs, like doing 7 hit songs in a row, and a quick switch over, and them coming up, blam, 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 Van Halen with Sammy. And Sammy's out there screaming at the top of his lungs and playing guitar and looking great. It wasn't that big of a deal. The fans really wanted Van Halen. Van Halen, at the time, like I said, already had new stuff on the radio with Why Can't This Be Love?
Right.
Why Can't This Be Love? And a couple others. So they were familiar. They had already bought the album. It wasn't like they were introducing a new album. It was already out, and fans wanted to hear the stuff with Sammy singing. And Sammy's just a great frontman, great lead singer.
Absolutely. So tell me, what kind of impact did it have on you guys? There was a lot of young people in the crowd. Did it reinvigorate the base for BTO?
It did. We didn't have any product out at the time.
Right.
There started to be a demand for product. We had done a gig a month about just before that tour, actually on the tour before Van Halen, at the Misty Moon, which is a club in Florida.
Right.
I don't know what the capital of Florida is. It's not.
I'm not sure.
I don't know if you know what the capital is, but anyways, where the capital city was, where the university was. It was called the Misty Moon. So we did Live at the Misty Moon, which prompted me to go and mix Live at the Misty Moon.
Right.
We got to deal with Curb Records in Nashville, and we put out BTO Live at the Misty Moon. So we actually had new product to sell maybe halfway through the Van Halen tour.
Absolutely.
And it was really good. I took each of my kids for a week.
Wow.
On the tour, so they got to know Uncle Eddie and Uncle Sammy. Do you know what I mean? They got to meet them.
That's great. And tell me, what was it like backstage? What was the scene like backstage?
Oh, it was really family. It was really nice. I mean, later would be a meeting, and they'd say, so-and-so's got to leave the tour, their father's sick, or blah, 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 and so-and-so just had a baby, so we're going to have a little picnic. We got 3 days off. We rented a bowling alley. We'd all be having dinner together. We'd all be jamming together. There was a very special moment that happened with me and Eddie that I don't think Eddie would mind me telling.
Right.
That was in the middle of the tour. My phone rang at about 3 a.m.
Right.
And a voice said, Randolph Edward. And he called me Randolph. I called him Edward.
Right.
Which nobody called us, because he's already Eddie and I'm always Randy.
Right.
Except your mother, when you did something wrong, or a teacher in school would go, Edward?
Of course.
Randolph? You know, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
So when I get Randolph Edward, I go, yes. He said, can you come down to my room?
Okay.
Are you kidding? It's 3 a.m. Aren't you with Val? Yes, can you come to my room?
Okay.
So I go downstairs to this hotel. I think this was in Tennessee somewhere. I think it was Knoxville.
Okay.
And I go down to his room, and he says, my best friend just passed away. I know he's going to heaven. I want to play for him. Would you sit here with me?
Wow.
So he closes the door. He has an acoustic guitar. He sits on the floor. I sit on the floor beside him. He plays the most amazing guitar I've ever heard in my life. He is in tears. The friend he went to high school with is transitioning to heaven. Eddie's playing music for this friend of his. The Doors, he's playing guitar like mad. I've never heard guitar like this in my life. The door is opening from other people. This is like 3:30 in the morning. Like guys saying, well, what's going on? And they see me and Eddie sitting on the floor, and some of them come out and sit on the floor in the hallway listening to this music. And it was like a very, very spiritual, touching, personal moment that I thank Eddie for.
Wow.
No one heard this. I had no tape recorder. It's only in my heart and my mind.
Right.
And I shared this moment with him that was very, very special, and I will never forget it for the rest of my life.
Wow. Was it on acoustic?
On a little acoustic,
Uh-huh.
playing Spanish Fly,
Wow.
and playing jazz, and playing flamenco, and he was playing his friend's favorite songs, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And playing other little stuff. And he said, you know, like, my buddy's going to heaven right now.
Wow.
So I want to share this with you. And I said, oh, this is unbelievable that you'd share this with me. And he would come backstage when I was warming up, and I'm playing all kind of fancy harmonics and stuff. He'd stick his head in the dressing room going, that's just great stuff on guitar, man. Never play it on stage. No one will understand it.
Absolutely.
Play what you play on stage, but don't play all this fancy shit. Nobody will understand what you're doing.
and so who was his friend that passed away?
I don't know his name. It's up to Eddie to say so. Maybe he doesn't want to share it, but
okay.
I thought it would be okay for me to tell that
of course.
story.
So that's amazing. How did your partner, Mr. Turner, feel about you guys going on without him? Was that the first time you toured without him?
Yeah, it was. But he had really important business. He had 4 teenagers at the time. A couple of them were into bad stuff, drugs and stuff like that. And
okay.
his marriage was shaky. I mean, all of our marriages are shaky. When you're on tour for like 6 months at a time,
yeah.
Of course your marriage is shaky. Your
right.
wife's doing it without you, and you're doing it without her, and it's
right.
pretty much a heartbreak time. I mean, you're lonely every night when you're on tour. I mean, it's not a great thing. You're 2 hours on stage of glory and joy and thrill, and then fulfilling your childhood dream are offset by 22 hours of misery, of bad hotel, bad food, traveling, being heartsick, heartbroken,
right.
missing your dog, missing your buddies, missing your wife, missing your girlfriend, missing your parents. People you hated back home, you're missing them. Right. You've been away for so long.
That's amazing. So now, obviously, everybody knows you guys so well because you have 2 staples in addition to a whole catalog of great music, but the staples that are played every day on classic rock radio, obviously Taking Care of Business and Ain't Seen Nothing Yet. What is the origin of each of those songs, and why do you think those, out of all the ones you've done, became so huge?
Well, it's hard to tell which songs are going to resonate with people. If you go back to American Woman that I wrote like within the Guess Who,
right.
That became an anthem back in the 70s. Then Lenny Kravitz made it an anthem again. Then Kelly Clarkson did it for the television series American Woman. It is always relevant because America's always at war. And basically it's not the woman on the street. It's the idea of the Statue of Liberty and fighting for the statue in a jungle or desert somewhere that has nothing to do with fighting for the USA or fighting for North America. We're not keeping anybody off of our shores. Basically, we're fighting in the desert somewhere, some foreign country. So American Woman is always a relevant song. Taking Care of Business, I've been told by many people, guys played it in their army tanks in Desert Storm. They're going out to take care of business. They might never come back.
Right.
This is very touching to me that my song would be used. I have a great friend in England named
right.
Tony Hiller who wrote the song, United We Stand, Divided We Fall. When 9/11 happened, I was in New York City with the Guess Who. Our opening act was Joe Cocker. 9/11 happened. Our gig didn't happen that night or the next night. And then the songs for 9/11 were United We Stand, Divided We Fall, and Taking Care of Business. All
wow.
the firefighters and all the first responders
wow.
are playing my song and my buddy Tony Hiller's song. That's very, very touching that your song
huge.
Becomes anthemic in that way and played by people in times of triumph and times of difficulty that they've got to go, and no matter what, they've got to take care of business.
Right.
That's
absolutely.
very touching.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what do you attribute to the longevity of those songs? They're played every day on multiple formats of radio, and everybody knows them. They can sing them by heart. What do you make of that?
I don't know. I think it's some song that came out at the right time in people's psyche. There's a couple others, Roll On Down the Highway and Let It Ride and These Eyes. I hear them all the time. I go into radio stations now and the guys look at me. There's also a Canadian band called Trooper that I produced. They were a huge band in Canada. They still are. And the radio station guys would say to me, do you realize that you represent 18% or 22% of our playlist? And you have for the last 20 years?
Okay.
And I go, what? Can you play my new record? And they say, there's no place for your new record. Consequently, my success on classic rock has hampered my latest releases, By George, where I did a tribute to George Harrison for his 75th birthday, and the album before that called Heavy Blues. That's one of the greatest albums I did.
Sure.
With guest guitarists, Frampton, Robert Randolph, Neil Young, you know what I mean? Joe Bonamassa. All these guys are guesting on this album. It's an incredible album if you're a guitar player. I got no airplay on it.
Wow. This is your new album, By George?
Yeah, the George Harrison album called By George.
Right.
And I reinterpreted 10 George Harrison songs for the album. They're not the way he played it with the Beatles. I redid them as a tribute songwriter to songwriter. The album before that was called Heavy Blues.
Wow.
And it's my tribute to the power trios of the late 60s in England who played our American blues, played it heavier with, Cream and Zeppelin and The Who, you know what I mean, and bands like that, and Hendrix, who were like a rock and roll trio that brought back our Chicago and Delta blues, brought it back to America with a whole new twist on it, and brought it back to the kids.
That's awesome. And you have this new documentary out on you just called Bachman, correct?
Yes, yeah.
And tell me, how did that come about, and what can people see in this documentary? Does it go through your whole career?
Yeah, it does. It starts at, I think there was a camera in the hospital when I was born.
Oh, my God.
No, I'm joking.
Oh, okay.
It follows a lot of my career, and I saw the Clapton one, and I saw the Jeff Beck one.
Right.
And so I guess it's similar to that. It shows a lot of high points and a lot of low points, which is, I guess, everybody's life is full of home runs and strikeouts, and you got to show them all. And a lot of times you're pretty much bare naked in front of the camera there as far as showing you're having a bad day or you've got a bad hair day or, you know what I mean? Or why did I wear that shirt? You know what I mean?
Right.
That kind of thing.
Right, absolutely. How can people see Bachman?
I think it's on iTunes and Amazon.
Okay.
You can Google Bachman. There's a lot of places you can buy it.
Okay. Excellent. That's fantastic, and it's incredible that you've had such an incredibly long career and storied career. Where is Bachman-Turner Overdrive? Is that done, or are you still playing as Bachman-Turner Overdrive, or are you just going solo right now?
No, I'm playing as Bachman. I've got a great band. I've had them about 12 years. Turner joins us once in a while. He's in Florida right now.
Okay.
And if we get a really good gig, he comes out and we become Bachman-Turner. My son Tal is playing in the band.
Okay.
We just did 9 dates with Leonard Skinner, their farewell tour in Canada. We're looking at doing some dates in the States with them.
That's great.
And I'm playing a rock and roll cruise next February, the Sweetheart Cruise.
That's great.
Next Valentine's Day in 2020. We're all bringing our sweethearts, and a lot of guys are bringing their sweethearts, so it's going to be a real love tour. It's with America, Cheap Trick, Todd Rundgren, ABBA Tribute, and Beatles Tribute, and my band Bachman. I'll be playing all the Guess Who and BTO hits.
Wow.
I'm sure America and Cheap Trick will be playing their hits.
Wow.
We go from Fort Lauderdale, I think, to Costa Rica, and then back. It's a week. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
That's incredible. And tell me, how did the documentary come about? Did someone approach you to do it, or did you do it yourself?
No, I didn't do it myself. I would never do it. I didn't want to do it. I was against it.
Oh, how come?
I said, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be exposed to all these people. And they said, well, have you seen the Clapton? I had just seen the Clapton one. I think it's called Life in 8 Bars or Life in 12 Bars, something like that.
Right, yep.
I had just seen that, and that really showed the side of Clapton I never, ever thought existed. I heard about it. But to see him in his states of being drunk and being stoned and all the hard times he came through with the death of his children and things like that was really touching. And the guy's a true survivor. And I've been a fan of his since the Yardbirds and through Cream and stuff. I've been a real fan of his. My guitar playing is styled after him. You listen to my American Woman guitar solo, it's pretty much what he played, and I feel free. I mean, I'm paying tribute to his notes and his tone and everything.
Excellent.
And so I've loved the guy. So seeing that documentary on him, I figured, well, there's fans that maybe want to see my strikeouts and my hits and misses. So I'll just go ahead and let John Barnum do it. And I didn't know who he was interviewing. I didn't know what he was doing. I got used to the camera following me around because you get used to the fly-on-the-wall camera. You don't even know what's there. And you say and do things that you normally wouldn't do. And I guess it's a true representative of some parts of my life. It could have been 4 hours long, as could have the Clapton one. I could have sat through it an hour a day. It could be a series, for Pete's sake. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a lot on the cutting room floor that they never even mentioned in there. They just didn't have time.
Wow. And so tell me, how did you feel it came out? Are you happy about it? And do you also feel, a lot of music docs today reinvigorate people's catalogs? Are you feeling the bounce?
Yeah, I'm feeling the bounce, and the BTO albums just came out, all remastered as a vinyl and CD box set. That's really cool to look forward to.
Awesome.
There's a Guess Who one where people are now emailing me saying, we just saw the Expanded American Woman, where all you guys comment on every track. I didn't even know that was out, so I only heard about this yesterday. So I've got to go now and call the record labels and say, hey, you guys forgot to send me all this stuff on the Guess Who and BTO. If it's out, at least let me see it so I can hear it and see what it sounds like, because I was part of doing it, but I didn't know their exact release date, right? So
right.